It has been a long, long week in America, and let me tell you, what's even worse is getting online and just the crushing weight of reality and how people are just really weighs you down. So here I am, hoping I can at least get onto football social media and enjoy some of that, but then all of a sudden, I just can't catch a break. What's up, guys, and welcome to the Blues and Stripes. So we're going to look ahead to tomorrow's match against Brentford, and as I said in the intro, it has been quite a bit of a rough week on all fronts for me. But let's talk about the Chelsea-related stuff. So obviously, the big talking point is the 74 charges. Truth be told, I don't know a whole lot about the details of the situation. I do know it's related to making payments to agents back in the Abramovich era, which somebody might have to explain ins and outs of all of that, because the only information I have about agent payments comes from Football Manager, and I do know there are agent fees. So I'm guessing this is more so under the table stuff. But what I really don't understand is, why is it affecting us? I know people say, well, it's still the same club, even if you got new owners. But really think about what that means. I mean, if I go and buy some sub shop, I go into the back room and left behind are some drugs because the guy who owned it before me was running drugs out of the back of this shop. If I turn that into the police, they're not going to arrest me because it's not my fault. So it's weird to me that the new ownership shows some stuff that was happening in the previous ownership, and now the new ownership is being punished. Like, even if it is the same business technically, there are new owners, so why are the punishments going? I don't really get that. Some people have talked about apparently Everton also self-reported before they got their points deduction, but the only thing I'm unsure about for that is, was it the new owners reporting on something the old owners did, or is it the owners reporting on something that they found in the books that happened under their watch, because then they're still responsible for it. This is a scenario where Bowley and company are not responsible for what happened before. They're just taking over the business that was, yes, brought to this place by stuff that maybe bent the rules, but let's be honest, what big club hasn't at some point? And on top of that, all of this while the 115 or 121 or whatever it is now is just not being talked about at all anymore. Kind of feels like it's just going to get swept under the rug and Man City is going to go about doing what they normally do. But like I said, I don't have a whole lot of details about this. I haven't done a deep dive because I've just not been in the mood to go online about stuff recently. So we're going to focus mainly on the game tomorrow and what I expect, what I'm hoping to see. We'll talk about a couple of the team news that came out of Maresca's press conference. So first of all, we do know Asugo is going to be out. He had surgery. It's really unfortunate. I thought he looked good in preseason. I think he's a good backup option for Caicedo. So it sucks that now he might be out for an extended period of time. Obviously, it's a boost to have Lavia back, but we don't know how long we can really rely on him. Delap is going to be out for, I think they said 10 to 12 weeks, which isn't too surprising. I think that's the typical amount of time for a hamstring injury, so it's disappointing, but this is why I said having three strikers is something that is necessary, because you have to deal with these injuries, and you don't want to leave yourself with only one striker option. So hopefully Guiu is ready to step up whenever Pedro needs a break or whenever we just need another option up there. But I do think the one thing that's unfortunate in this situation is Delap was the option that was slightly different than what we had. When you look at Jackson, when you look at Guiu, when you look at Pedro, they're all kind of the same type of profile of player. Delap is a bully. He's much, much different than the rest of those guys. So I think not having him, it does take away that variety a bit, which is unfortunate, but we'll work with what we have for now. There's also some doubt about Palmer, whether or not he's going to be available, as well as some of the guys that were playing in South America, like Pedro, like Estevao, like Caicedo. So really predicting this lineup is going to be difficult, because there's a lot that I don't think we're going to know about until the day of, whether players are fully fit or ready to go. But looking at it from what I would like to see, first of all, starting in goal, obviously Sanchez. Still don't have a better option. I'm going in with the mindset of everybody that we know is possibly fit is going to be fit. So that includes Palmer, even though he is just returning from injury. And with that in mind, knowing that we're playing away, I would actually like to see Gusto on the right side. I know it's a bit of an odd shout because I think James is a much better defender. But looking at the fact that we're going to be playing away, I do think that there's going to be a lot more room for us to break quickly. And I do think Gusto has a bit more pace than James does. James is good at the build-up play. His crosses, his passes are really good. Gusto's unfortunately is not. But what Gusto does give you is the ability to work up and down the line. And I think that's something that we're probably going to need from him. So I think he would probably be a bit better suited to this game. I'm going Tosin and Chalobah in the center. No real surprises there because we didn't go improve our defense at all in this transfer window. And then Cucurella on the left side, because you just have to choose him. Into the midfield, Caicedo and Fernandez, for me, is the top choice. If Lavia is definitely fit, there's an argument to be made that he could take the position from Fernandez. There's also an argument that Santos could step in for Fernandez. But looking at it, if Caicedo isn't fit, I would say the best option in there is probably going to be either James or Santos. Personally, I'd prefer Santos because I don't think James is suited to that midfield, even if it worked in a couple of matches before. And I think of the other midfield options that we have in there, Santos is the most defensively capable to take the spot from Caicedo. But I think Caicedo and Fernandes, they've shown a really good partnership. I think if you've got Cucurella stepping up into the midfield alongside Caicedo, which allows Fernandes to push forward, I think that is a very comfortable, very disruptive midfield. It keeps Brentford from having much of a chance to counter on us because Caicedo and Cucurella both do a really good job of shutting down those opportunities. So those are my back six. Getting into the front four, this is where it's going to be very difficult, especially on that left side. I really don't know what to expect anymore. But on the right side, I would prefer it to be Estevao. I think some of the best play that we've seen has come from Palmer in the center, kind of moves out to the right. Estevao's over there on the right. And you've also got João Pedro up top, who's kind of moving side to side as well. I think if you've got those three, if they're all fit, that's where they need to be. They work really well together. They interchange really well. I think as well you throw Gusto in there as an overlapping run. That gives another option. So there's so much potential with that three. But over on the left side, personally, I'd go with Neto. I think in this match you're going to rely a lot on those wide players being able to not only try to work the ball around, but also to work back and defend. Neto's shown a great capability to do that. So I think if you got Neto and Gusto kind of running the wide channels, you got Estevao stepping in a little bit alongside Palmer, who's somewhat central but slightly more to the right side. Fernandes is stepping up on the center left. Caicedo is staying a bit deeper. Cucurella is there to help out. I think that sets up for a very solid blockade. But let's talk about what happens if the Brazilians are not capable of starting and if Palmer is not capable of starting. In that case, I think the best option is Guiu up top. It's really hard to choose right now on that left side because Gittins has not really shown much in his first few appearances, even though he did well in preseason. He's not started Premier League life very well. But I just don't want to choose Garnacho. I don't want to see him in a Chelsea shirt, but he's here, so I just have to get used to it. So, I don't know. On the left side, I guess I'm going to go with Gittins personally, but I would not be surprised to see Garnacho. Hopefully, they'll just both push each other, and we'll see the best out of both of them, and Garnacho can lose the attitude and actually work for the team. Not hoping for much there. On the right side, it would probably be Neto, though. And then in the center, I would expect to see Fernandes step up with maybe Santos or Lavia taking his role. But with that, I still think that's a very solid lineup. I do worry a bit about where the goals are going to come from without Pedro, Palmer, or Estevao, but I still think there's creativity there. I think we will create our chances. We just need somebody to step up and finish them. I don't know if Guiu's going to be that guy. Neto, his finishing is hit and miss. Gittins has not been great at finishing so far. Garnacho is a finisher, but obviously there are other flaws in his game that might hurt us. So there's a lot that's going to be up in the air about this lineup and performance. And even looking at the team we're playing, Brentford, it's a lot up in the air. At the start of the season, I wasn't expecting much because Thomas Frank, I think, was a really good manager, and him leaving, I think, is going to hurt them. They didn't really go replace him with anybody that I think is going to fill his shoes. They lost Mbuemo, they lost Visa, they lost, was it Norgard, I think? So they lost a lot of players, and they didn't really do much to replace them. So I was kind of expecting they might be in a relegation fight. And the fact that they lost to Sunderland, they lost to Forest, you could argue that, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. But they also did beat Villa at home, so there might be enough about their home performances to keep them out of that relegation fight, which means we might have a game ahead of us tomorrow. And let's be honest, Brentford have been a bogey team for us since they came up into the Premier League. Now, some of that may have just been Thomas Frank being a good manager, but personally, this is not a game that I'm going to take lightly, even if they do seem a lot weaker based on the summer. So hopefully we can come in, we can do our jobs. Honestly, performance-wise, what I would like to see is a good, comfortable performance throughout the entire match. I don't want to see us start quickly and then drop off. I also don't want to see us start slow. I don't want to see any scares. I don't want to see any sluggishness. I realize it's after the international break, so there's a chance of that, but I would just like to see us come in fully prepared for this match and take care of business. The last thing to talk about is Maresca, what I want to see from him as a manager. I think I've said it before, but I want to see his tactics not be so slow and predictable, not be so dull. I want to see the tactics where we move the ball quickly. Even when we are playing a bit more negative, I prefer to see us drop it and move it around quickly to get it back down the field. Not this drop it back to defense, take 5 touches in between each pass, and invite the pressure on until we eventually give it away or just have to boot it downfield. So the tactics are a really big part of it, but also his subs, they do need to improve. It does feel like we're just seeing the same subs for the same people every single match, unless it's an injury forcing it. but I want to see subs that are positively affecting the game. I don't just want to see, well, this guy's looking a little tired, so we'll make a like for like switch there. I want to actually see we're making subs to be proactive. We're adjusting the tactics. We're adjusting to what's in front of us, what Brentford are throwing at us. I want to see him actually being a manager and showcasing some of what we saw from him in the Club World Cup. But with all that being said, those are my thoughts on this. I may not get the review out right after the game tomorrow because I do have a birthday party for a friend that I'll be attending, so it might be something that goes up on Sunday. So look forward to that, but let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What are your thoughts going into this match? What are your thoughts? And please give me some details on the 74 charges. Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea previews, reviews, and talks. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. And I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.